In the heart of a vast, vibrant forest, there lived a small, curious turtle named Toby. Unlike the other turtles, who were content with their slow and steady life on the forest floor, Toby had a dream that set him apart. Each night, after the day's slow-paced adventures, Toby would climb to the highest point he could find and gaze up at the wide, open sky. There, under the twinkling stars, his heart would fill with a sense of longing. "I wish I could fly," he often whispered to himself as he watched the birds dart through the evening sky, their wings gliding effortlessly on the breeze. He envied their freedom, the way they soared above the treetops, seeing the world from heights that a little turtle like him could only imagine. Toby's dream was known to all the creatures of the forest. His turtle friends shook their heads, amused by his fantasies. "Turtles don't fly," they'd say with a chuckle. "We're meant to crawl, to swim, and to carry our homes on our backs. You should be happy with who you are." The frogs, too, teased him gently. "Why would you want to fly when you can hop into the pond and float all day?" asked Felix, a cheerful frog who loved splashing around in the water. "Flying is for birds, Toby. You're perfect just the way you are." But Toby couldn't shake the feeling that he was meant for more. While the others were satisfied with the ground, Toby's eyes were always drawn upward, to the clouds and the open sky, where dreams seemed to drift like feathers on the wind. Even though no one else believed in his dream, Toby held it close to his heart, nurturing it with each passing day. One particularly clear night, as Toby made his way to the top of the tallest hill in the forest, a small mound really, but to him, it felt like a mountain, he heard a soft flutter of wings. Startled, he looked up and saw the silhouette of a large bird, perched on a branch above him. It was Luna, the wise old owl, known throughout the forest for her wisdom and patience. Her golden eyes glowed in the moonlight, watching him with curiosity. "What brings you to the top of this hill, little turtle?" Luna asked in her soft, wise voice. Toby blinked up at her, feeling a bit shy. "I come here to dream of flying," he admitted. "I know it sounds silly, but I want to know what it's like to soar above the trees, to feel the wind rushing beneath me, to see the world from the sky." Luna tilted her head, her feathers rustling softly. "It's not silly to dream, Toby. In fact, dreams are often the first step towards something wonderful. But flying is not something turtles are naturally able to do." "I know," Toby said with a sigh, his head hanging a little lower. "Everyone tells me I'm wasting my time. Turtles are supposed to stay on the ground, to crawl and swim. But I just can't help it, I want to fly more than anything." Luna gazed at him for a long moment before speaking again. "Toby, dreams are not measured by what others think is possible. They are measured by your heart and your willingness to pursue them. If you truly believe you can fly, then perhaps there is a way, even if it's not the way you imagine." Toby's eyes widened. "Do you really think so?" Luna hooted softly, a sound that felt like a warm hug. "I believe that the path to your dreams may be difficult, but with determination and a little creativity, you may find yourself closer to the sky than you ever thought possible." With that, Luna spread her wings and took off into the night, leaving Toby standing on the hilltop, her words ringing in his ears. Determined now more than ever, Toby resolved that he wouldn't let anything, or anyone, stand in the way of his dream. The very next morning, Toby set out to find a way to make his dream of flying come true. He started by observing the birds closely, watching how their wings moved, how they caught the wind, and how they soared so effortlessly through the sky. "I need wings," he thought to himself. That's the secret to flying. Excited, Toby began to collect materials from the forest. He found large, sturdy leaves from the tallest trees, sticks to form a framework, and vines to tie everything together. With great care, he crafted a pair of makeshift wings and strapped them to his back. They felt a little heavy, but Toby was sure that they would work. "Today's the day," he said proudly to himself as he stood on the edge of a small rock, ready to leap. His friends gathered around, curious but skeptical. "What are you doing now, Toby?" Felix the frog called from the pond. "I'm going to fly," Toby announced. He flapped his leaf wings as hard as he could, took a deep breath, and jumped off the rock. For a brief moment, Toby felt a surge of hope as the wind rushed past him. But then gravity took over, and he tumbled to the ground with a soft thud. The wings crumpled beneath him, and his friends giggled, though not unkindly. "Toby, you're a turtle," Felix said, hopping closer. "You don't need wings. You're great just the way you are." But Toby wasn't discouraged. He dusted himself off and looked up at the sky again. "I just need to keep trying," he said with determination. "I know I can figure this out." Over the next few weeks, Toby continued to experiment. He tried different materials for his wings, attaching them to his shell in various ways. He climbed higher hills, jumped from larger rocks, and even tried catching the wind by standing at the top of a tree stump. Each time, he would get a little lift, but it was never enough to truly soar. Still, Toby didn't give up. His friends, once amused by his efforts, began to admire his persistence. "He's really determined," the squirrels whispered. "Maybe he'll figure it out after all." One bright afternoon, after days of tireless experimenting, Toby climbed to the very top of the hill where he had first met Luna. The view from up there was breathtaking, and for a moment, Toby simply stood still, taking it all in. He had his latest pair of wings strapped to his back, larger and stronger than any he'd made before. His heart raced with excitement, but also a little nervousness. "I can do this," Toby whispered to himself. "I just need to believe." He waited, watching the treetops sway gently in the breeze. But then, something unexpected happened. A strong gust of wind blew through the forest, rustling the leaves and bending the branches. Toby felt the wind catch his wings, and before he knew it, his feet lifted off the ground. For the first time in his life, Toby was flying. It wasn't a long flight, and it wasn't as high as the birds flew, but in that moment, Toby felt weightless. The wind carried him forward, his wings flapping just enough to keep him afloat. Below, his friends watched in awe, their jaws dropping as they saw their little turtle friend soaring just above the ground. "I'm flying!" Toby shouted joyfully, his heart soaring even higher than his wings. But as the gust of wind died down, Toby gently floated back to the ground, landing softly on his feet. His wings, though worn, had done their job. He had flown, even if just for a moment. His friends rushed over to congratulate him. "You did it, Toby!" Felix croaked, hopping up and down with excitement. "You really flew!" Toby beamed with pride, his heart filled with happiness. "I couldn't have done it without Luna's advice," he said. She was right, sometimes dreams aren't impossible, they're just difficult. In the days that followed, Toby continued to practice. He found that with the right wind and the right technique, he could glide for short distances, catching brief moments of flight. It wasn't the kind of flying that the birds did, soaring high above the clouds, but it was enough to make his dream come true in his own special way. As Toby flew from hill to hill, gliding gently on the breeze, he realized that the journey to achieving his dream had taught him something even more valuable than flight. He had learned that determination, creativity, and belief in oneself could turn even the wildest dreams into reality. The other animals, inspired by Toby's success, began to pursue their own dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed at first. And whenever anyone asked how Toby, the little turtle, had managed to fly, he would smile and say, "It wasn't easy, but with a little help from the wind and a lot of heart, anything is possible."